Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, CL King, coming to you live from the High Definition Studios here in Impactville. And we are so delighted to have you joining us on this Tuesday evening in the fall of Eastern Carolina. Listen, there are some guests that we have on our show that we appreciate coming, but they never come back. And then there are guests that we're thankful that they come, and we realize we need to have them more than once. And then there are guests who we realize that God assigned them to us, and we need to have them all the time. My guests tonight are those types of people. Pastor and Mrs. Sam are guests of Impacting Life 24/7, but they also are highly sought after marriage counselors. They're also great authors. They co-authored a book called The Unbreakable Marriage. And the reason why we connected so well is because these folks are on a mission. They're on a mission to save 50,000 marriages from divorce in the next 5 years. They co-authored the book Unbreakable Marriage, where they share details of mentorship and mentoring processes that they have been using since 2016 to guarantee breakthrough that couples are facing instead of going through breakdown in as little as 10 weeks. The Sams celebrated 40 years of wedding bliss of their arranged marriage in August 2023. Pastor Jeeva has been retired from pastoring since 2017 after serving 35 plus years in congregational ministry. Sulojana has worked for the government in Canada since 2007. Pastor Jeeva and Sulojana strongly believe that no matter how broken a marriage may be, it can be restored when both husband and wife commit themselves to whatever it takes to make it work. The Sams reside in Niagara Region of Canada. They are parents to 3 married children. And guess what? They are no longer awaiting their grandchild, but they are now proud grandparents, and we're so delighted to have them. Please welcome to our virtual studios the one and only Pastor and Mrs. Sam. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Great to be here with you again. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. It's been entirely too long. And I know we had some scheduling conflicts when you were supposed to be on. So this is how you know how important you are to Impacting Life 24/7, is that even when there's a scheduling conflict, we'll just recycle you on the schedule and get you back in here. So thank you guys. And Greg, he can be happy now that I got you on, because he was messaging me saying, where are your guests at? I was like, hey, look, brother, we got to catch up. You know what I mean? It's like family. It's like a family reunion. So let's get started, because I know we got a lot to cover. I got a lot to cover with you guys tonight. Tell people how they can contact you.
So simplest way is to go to our website. We are the Sams from Canada, and our website is thesams.ca. So www.thesams.ca will get you to our website, and you can send us a message from there. You can also catch us on all sorts of social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're there.
Okay, and again, all you got to do is go to. Let me make sure I got it on my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a big 90-inch screen in front of me, and sometimes I still don't read it right. So you got to go to thesams.ca, www.thesams.ca, and you can connect with them. That's a place where you can get the book. Thank you, Greg, for putting it in the chat, so those of you in our live audience can be able to see that and connect with them immediately. And so the Sams are on what we call a rotation. They're on a rotation schedule. So they are regular guests that have full access to appear whenever our schedule allows on Impacting Life 24/7. You know why? Because we realize that marriages are under attack. And the enemy, the devil, he would like nothing more than to destroy the home. That's what the attack is, y'all. And if you don't know who your enemy is and what your enemy is doing, how are you going to know best to fight him? And so we said the Sams are going to be on our show quarterly, regularly, to put out information, put out clarity, put out doctrine to help husbands and wives who may be going through something and struggling to overcome that. 50,000 people in 5 years. So tell us real quick, give us a quick backstory of how you all met, Sulojana. Tell us how you and the pastor met so many years ago.
Yeah, that's 40 years ago. Yeah. So this was back in India where we met. Jeeva has been in Canada for 7 years at that time. And, he came with his family back to India for a visit. And, our marriage was arranged. So what happens in an arranged marriage is, the parents get together first. It can be a go-between, like they have marriage brokers who, have a list of names of the girls and, and then also the names of guys and their family background. So we tell them, our parents talk to them and tell them what kind of a groom we are looking for. And they list those things, no smoking, no drinking, it should be a Christian family because there are Hindus there too, Muslims. And then education. There's also dowry involved. So they talk about all those things. And
you say dowry is involved?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it ain't free. It ain't free, yo.
I know. Yeah. So with all the information he has, the marriage broker then tries to match the families together and bring the parents together, and they talk things over. And if they are happy, like in our case, Jeeva wanted to meet me, and my father wasn't very happy about that. He said, well, you get married first and then.
Well, no, not just meet, but I wanted to actually have a private chat with her.
Yeah.
Before we got married. I thought that was a very reasonable request. That's not what her dad thought it was. Says, what's the matter? Don't you trust our judgment?
Ooh, boy, I love it already, y'all. Yeah, and so you didn't get the private chat, huh, Pastor?
No, we did. Yeah. So after some very serious negotiations, that would make hostage taking proud. He finally agreed to let us meet and gave us a 15-minute time limit. So we jokingly say that we had one of the longest courtships in India at that time, which was 15 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, they are great people.
And
Greg says in the chat that you guys are great people. 15 minutes courtship. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing, Pastor C.L. King, is, the parents do the background check as well. They talk to the teachers, family, neighbors, friends. I don't know, my dad did a few of those. And
this was before the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
It may have been even before the telephone, I'm not sure, but.
No, telephone wasn't that common in India, telephone. Yeah.
Telephones weren't that common.
Yeah. Then, if they are satisfied with everything, it's not just, two people, the parents meet and then make a decision. They do the background check, like, like couples here do it with their courtship during the courtship days.
Yeah.
So
in India, a marriage is a coming together of two families. Not just two individuals.
Wow.
And so, so that's one of the reasons why one of the main considerations the brokers have is to make sure that the families are compatible, which makes sense. If you marry somebody that has a similar, family background and values and so on, then you're setting up your children for success in their marriage.
Yeah, that is so true, sir. Man, that's powerful. But if the families are dysfunctional, then it could bleed over into the relationship.
Yeah.
And
parents see things from a different perspective. No emotions involved. When two young people meet and talk, there's so much emotions involved. They don't see the some of the red flags. But parents do. parents, they see, from a different perspective.
She said something there very wise, Greg, and you are right about wise counsel, that sometimes when so much emotion is involved, you have a tendency to turn those red flags blue or pink, right?
Yeah.
And you miss some things. So it is good, and I'm sure Pastor would agree with this, that it is good to seek. Obviously, arranged marriages are not that common in America, but it is good to seek wise counsel. Can you talk about that? Is that a good thing, Pastor?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things we always tell couples who are in the courtship stage, like, get somebody, who is older and wiser than you, and somebody who has a history with you, to actually, meet you both together and see how you interact. Like, for example, we have a pastor friend in a church locally where we live. And in his church, that's the norm. Like, as soon as somebody, even is interested in dating someone in the church, they go to the pastor first and say, Pastor, I feel like this person would be a good match for me. What do you think? And so they rely on the pastor's, not opinion, but really what they're sensing. And sometimes pastors will have access to information about someone that nobody else knows. And so they can very quietly say, you know what? I know you guys do have some feelings for each other, but I'm sensing that this is probably not your life partner. There's going to be a great friend. Mm-hmm. And so even in North America, we do that to a certain degree when we bring someone home to meet the parents.
Right.
And many times, parents will then pick up on things like when our kids, some of them brought their special people to us. We knew right away, like, this was not going to be the one they married.
Won't work. Yeah.
And then we also were not reluctant to tell them that, because they need to know, like, we could just send some things, but they're in love, and sure enough.
Yeah. If they ask, we would have, we would say something.
Yeah. But, we would just maybe do a little bit of questioning. We'd never ever tell one of the kids, no, this one's not the one for you. But, it's more like, have you considered this, that kind of stuff. And so, definitely the scrutiny of someone who has that wisdom is a must.
It can be a pastor, or parents, if they are, comfortable checking with their parents, or somebody in the family that they trust, check with them before making that, big decision. It's a lifelong decision that you're making, right?
We're getting ready to talk about you guys' book, The Unbreakable Marriage, but that just brought something to my attention, because you guys know we're both authors. The three of us are authors, and I've been on a whirlwind with my book. But that I did not just write that book and put it out for sale. I had someone look over it. A second set of eyes, Pastor. Is value. Would you say that, Sulojana? I mean, just thinking about, hey, look, this is I read it, and it read so good. And then when somebody else read it, they're like, King, what in the world are you talking about, brother? Isn't that true?
Yeah,
we had that happen to our book too.
Yeah. Our editor is really funny, because when you first sent him the first manuscript, the first draft, he wrote back an email, and he said, oh, you guys did a great job. Like, you really poured out your heart into it. And that's the most complimentary thing I'm going to tell you from now on.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, Greg is celebrating. He just celebrated his Greg is my VP. He just celebrated his 38th wedding anniversary. Charity and I just celebrated our 28th, and Pastor Sam and his wife just celebrated their 40th. And so you wrote the book. Pastor, tell us about what was your inspiration behind the book, The Unbreakable Marriage.
Yeah. So really, the process of the mentorship actually came first. And we were, like, by the grace of God, couples that went through our mentorship, followed everything we taught them, were getting incredible results. They were indeed getting the breakthrough, like, so regularly that one of our mentors said, you know what, you can actually offer a guarantee, which, so that people who don't know you, will be willing to, invest in the process, because they know that if they didn't, get the results they wanted after following all that you taught them, they'll get their money back. So make it easy for them, to become part of your process. And so while this was producing results, then we started asking, how can we make what we have available to even more couples? And so we actually engaged a coach to help us with that process. And I was thinking more about like lead generation, like that type of thing. And the first thing he said to us was, you know what, guys, you need to write a book, and not just like a book that just shares a little bit. You need to put it all out there in a book, because what you're sharing and what you're doing is so valuable that you must make it available to everybody. Now he says, I just have to tell you that not every couple who picks up your book will be able to work their way through it, because especially if they're at a point of considering a breakup, or deeply conflicted, they will still need you to hold them by the hand and lead them through the process. So you're not going to lose the mentorship that you're doing, but at the same time, you make that information accessible, to anybody that that's willing to pay the $20 or whatever it is for the book, and pick it up and read it. And so that's really how we wrote the book, and that's exactly what we did. We just shared everything. Like, there's really no secrets about what people will get in our mentorship when they get a hold of our book.
Oh, that's powerful. And if you guys would like to get a hold of their book, can they get it on Amazon?
Yes, yeah. Amazon Anywhere and Barnes and Noble in the US. Yeah.
And what about your website also?
Yeah, on the website we have information as well. Yeah.
Okay, so just go to thesams.ca. And listen, the reason why I asked where they can get the book, and I would love for all of you that download our podcast and listen to us later on at some time in your leisure, to realize that America is at a crossroads where over 50% of marriages just do not succeed. Yeah. I talk about this in the jail, Pastor and Sister Sam. I tell them, I said, one of the words I want them to incorporate into their life is to fail-proof their freedom. If you're going to get free, make sure that your freedom is fail-proof. So in other words, don't make failure an option. Don't say, well, I'm going to get out, but I'm just going to try to incrementally get off meth. Or I'm going to get out, but I'm going to try to incrementally stop selling drugs. No, you need to not allow failure to be an option. And sometimes I think people approach marriage from the perspective of, well, I got a parachute. There's a way out. Do you agree with that, Sister Sam?
Yeah, I totally agree. When we, our marriage was arranged, our parents told us, the word divorce is not in our dictionary. So it's almost like once you're married, the door is closed. You don't, even look back. You work through those challenges, and and don't come back to my house either.
Oh, please say that one again.
Yeah, I think in North America the attitude, at least when I started pastoring in those days back in the 70s and early 80s, I should say, there was a prevailing attitude. Yes, we're going to say till death us do part, but really, for all intents and purposes, it is till divorce do us part. Or not as long as we both shall live, but often it was as long as we both shall love. Ooh. And so, and which was really a very cavalier attitude. And so one of the first things, like when a couple came to me anytime at all to get married, the first thing I would say to them is, listen, you guys both at the point of saying, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, to each other. Because if you have any doubt about it, please don't get married, because that is what marriage is. It's a covenant, and it's a covenant for life. And so we always stress that. Unfortunately, despite a lot of couples, making that commitment, with sincerity, when whatever came in their way, they were not adequately equipped to handle some of the storms of life, and so a lot of those ships didn't keep on sailing.
I love what you said there, Greg. That's a great point. Marriage is not what people are approaching it is as long as we both shall love. And some days, let's just be honest, some days we don't feel like it. right? Some days the rose petals and daffodils are not there. Is that true?
That's true.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Some days the butterflies aren't there, but as long as you're living, you are working back to that love.
Yeah.
And I would like you to give us, okay, because some people are hearing us and they're listening and they're saying, okay, Pastor, we hear you, but my marriage is at a point, because you said it doesn't matter kind of what stage they're in. Somebody might be listening to us that says, hey, listen, me and my spouse aren't even living together. There's other people involved, but the spouse and I are still trying to work our way back. I mean, how do you approach, and what would you give an advice, just initially to a couple like that, that's like just seemingly on life support?
Well, you know what? To us, when we meet with a couple, or before we take a couple on into our mentorship, we always have a consultation with them first to determine, with both of them together, if they're a good fit and vice versa, we're a good fit for them. And one of the questions we always ask them is, are you both determined, to actually like really work at this seriously, give it all you got? And are you desperate enough for it? Because we find when a couple comes to us and they're desperate for a breakthrough, then they will get it, because they will do everything that we tell them. And so if for whatever reason, a couple decides, what, I know we're heading towards a divorce, but that is not what we really want. That is not what God would want. For some, it may be a faith-based reason. For some, it may just be a sense of, no, we made a commitment, we did something or we did not do something to let our marriage come to this place. And as long as the will is there, then there's a way, whether that way is through something like what we offer, whether it's through a counselor, whether it's through a therapist, a pastor, or even sometimes a trusted friend is all you need. But I'll tell you, CL, one of the main ingredients of that process has to be accountability. When you try and do it on your own, and this is where a lot of times couples, they say, well, we did this, we tried that. Well, who did you work with? No, we just try to do it on our own. Well, that almost always turns out to be a recipe for failure, because you don't have another person saying, hey, did you do that? You made that promise? Did you get it done? And we find we maintain a very strict accountability with our couples, daily accountability, as a matter of fact. For 321-day cycles, 63 days in a row, there's an online Google sheet where they have to check off 10 squares every day. And because when we see couples do that, we know they will have a breakthrough. When they slack off on that or make excuses for that, we have to call them on it. And sometimes we'll say, you know what, if you guys don't shape up, I think we're going to have to fire you, because you're going to make us look bad at the end. You'll say, well, we tried the SAMs, didn't work out, but really you didn't make it work enough the way that the SAMs wanted you to. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. One of the things that he said, Greg, that really touched my heart is he said, are you desperate to fix this? And Sister Sam, there's got to be an element of desperation, because you remember when in the dating process, well, maybe not for y'all, but in the dating process, you were like, man, I gotta see this person, right? You do anything you could to rearrange your schedule, call out sick from work. You were desperate to see them. That desperation is important, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I think that will keep you going. If struggles, struggles will come, right? So it's how you're going to make it work to overcome that. Those kind of things will help you keep that commitment with each other. And also you just have to let your spouse know that they are number one in your life. I think as a woman, that is very important for us. That actually it should be go both ways. If you are working towards taking the steps to improve yourself, that's another thing, Pastor C.L. King, is to work on yourself. Don't look at your spouse and, oh, he or she is, all to blame for this, this problem, and don't blame them. I always tell them, get one-on-one with God and ask God, Lord, where do I need to change so that I can be a better spouse, wife or husband, and also better serve you. Because when your marriage is in struggle, you're struggling, it's all negative. You see that everything is negative. You don't have that relationship with God. It's all affected. So that's the first thing, I would recommend couples to do, is individually ask God, where they need to change. And if your spouse see you taking those steps to change, they will come along.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's interesting that you say that, ma'am, because in my coaching to married couples, I deal with an acronym, and Greg knows this, called mirrors. And what you just said there is confirmation in the spirit, because I don't coach them from the perspective of, tell me everything that your spouse has done wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
I get them to look at themselves in the mirror, because truthfully, if I can fix that person looking back at me, it might stimulate the other person to do the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And 40 years is a long time. It's not even, it's hardly common anymore to hear of couples that are 40 years in marriage. And Pastor Jeeva, he just turned a cool, what'd you turn, 32 a couple weeks ago? Yeah. But you guys look so good. Your family is important. Your family is good. But when a person gets the book, Unbreakable Marriage, what are their next steps? What should they do?
Okay. Well, really, first of all, don't just read the book. Start working on what we ask you to do in the book. That's one of the reasons why we produced a workbook to go with it, and also a gratitude journal, which is part of one of the things that we teach. And by the way, if you're not really into reading that much, which we're finding a lot of people are not these days, we do have an audio book available.
Why did you ask me to do the audio part? I could have did it for you, sir.
The next one, we'll keep you in mind.
Yes, sir.
And also an e-course. We put an e-course together. Yeah. And so when you get the book, and ideally, because our process works so well with accountability, one of the things we tell couples is, if you're getting this book just to pick up a few techniques and stuff, no problem. You do it on your own. But if your marriage is at a point where you really need to apply to help the help to turn your marriage around, then you must apply. And honestly, you need to apply it with accountability.
Yeah.
And so one of the visions that God gave us is actually to use our material, our content, whether it's in book form or e-course form, for example, in a congregational setting, to match couples who have been married for 7 to 10 years or more with couples who are just newly starting out in their married life, and spend 10 weeks together, once a week or so, meet for 10 weeks, go through this material in the book, answer the questions. But again, it's not just about knowing the content and answering the questions. It is really about the accountability, because you'll get it done. Otherwise, like, how many of us have bought books that we still haven't, cracked open the dust jacket yet?
Yeah.
Me included, right?
Well, let me ask you this, Pastor. Do you have the book handy? Is it close by?
Oh,
you guys, look.
Usually we do.
Well,
usually we do.
Well, that's fine. But one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is if you could give us a sprinkling of some of the chapters, like what you talk about in the book. Give us a couple of chapters that you guys deal with real issues that people are going through.
Well, the thing that we found is that before we actually teach people how to address the issues, there's a fundamental principle that we are very strong on, and that is, you do not have marriage problems per se. You are two people with your own problems coupled together in a marriage. And so until you address the problems that you brought into the marriage, you're going to end up blaming each other for everything. And so you need to go back and see, when I walked into this marriage, what is the baggage that I brought with me? Whether it's childhood trauma, ungodly beliefs that you learn from your parents or others, and so on. So we start with some fundamental assumptions, and then we teach couples to shift the spiritual atmosphere in their marriage. It's like, anything that grows needs to have to have an atmosphere where growth happens, rather than having an atmosphere that is toxic.
Right.
And so most couples, by the time they come to us, their relationships are like clouded in toxicity.
Yeah.
And so if you don't change the atmosphere first, then you can learn the best techniques in the world, and the change will not be lasting, simply because the atmosphere for growth is not there. And so we teach couples to shift the spiritual atmosphere, and then we teach them how to remove spiritual blockages. That's our second big chapter, is to go back. And a lot of that spiritual blockages, have to do with unforgiveness, for example, with judging others, with generational baggage, that you brought, into your marriage, and just a whole host of factors that are there. And once you get through those, now you're in a position to start learning how to grow in communication with each other, how to resolve conflict in a healthy way. And so at the end of an argument or a fight, you don't leave as enemies, but you leave as people who have come to some resolution that'll keep you moving forward. And and from that point onwards, we can move into exploring the sexual connection, how to make time for each other, how to handle your finances. And one of the most important things, which is the last chapter in the book we have, is on setting boundaries and keeping them.
Did you just say boundaries? Oh my Jesus! This is how I know I gotta be God, because that's one of the elements of my coaching session for married couples. In fact, I was dealing with a couple last night, and that was, I think, the last thing we dealt with is you need to have boundaries. Wow. Yeah. Hey, y'all, you heard it from Pastor Sam right here on Impact Life 24/7. And sisters, let me get it right. Sulojana?
Sulojana.
Yeah. Y'all, I've known these folks for now over a year, and I still can't get the dear sister's name right. My brain is slow. But when he talks about these things in terms of the elements that you guys walk people through, did you see these elements in the 40 years of you all's relationship?
Oh yes, yeah. We wrote all of our examples from our marriage, that we have put down. So it's very practical. We have been through it, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things in the beginning of the book we also do is changing the spiritual atmosphere in your home.
I talked about that when you were looking
for
a book.
Okay, yeah. So that's one of them. So if those things all happen, it will change. It will change your marriage. We've used the examples, life examples. So we've been through it all. The communication. When Jeeva was talking about the communication, there were times, especially in the beginning of our marriage, I didn't know how to resolve things. I did the silent treatment.
Not good.
That didn't work. So those kind of examples. And then what else is there? Yeah. So yeah, we've been through all the things that we talked about in our marriage.
Yeah. Well, and that's important because listen, for those of you, and I know we're over on time, but these folks deserve a whole hour. When we hold that book up for us, Pastor, it really is The Unbreakable Marriage. Is there a subtitle there?
Yes. How to stand in unity and withstand adversity.
How to stand in unity and withstand adversity. And their goal is, ladies and gentlemen, to help 50,000 people in 5 years repair and stay married. And I believe that at the root of all, if we look at life's problems, it starts in the home. Would you agree, Pastor? Well,
totally.
We can blame the government, we can blame this entity, but at the heart of the matter is the home. and we got to get back to the basics. Look, I want to share something with you guys. This is something totally, we didn't plan for it, but they know what I'm going to do. But I want to share something with y'all to show you guys really how far the Sams have come. So I'm going to show you. Let's see here. Can you guys see that on the screen there? That this is them on their one. Look at Pastor Sam with that cool Tom Selleck mustache there. And
full,
hair, curly
full head of hair.
yeah,
And
full head of
sideburns.
hair. But
And the
I
long,
mean, you got the
actually, my
long pork
sideburns are
chops.
short in that picture. I
Yeah.
used to have longer.
And Sulojana is like, hey, I just met this guy 15 minutes ago. But this is an example of two people that came into this and made up their mind that they were going to stay in this. And obviously, when people talk to me, I'm 28 years in, Greg's 38 years in. It's like, hey, it's not been without our share of challenges. Yeah. But we Pastor and Sister Sam, 30 days ago, I gave up sugar, right? No sugar at all. Like no processed foods and no sugars, just natural sugars like fruits. And it was because I heard a testimony from some people saying how bad sugar was and what it was doing to our lives. Now I didn't go, I once I made up my mind, it's been smooth sailing from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a matter of how we think. Talk about the mindset of marriage real quick, Pastor, because there's people out there that are just like, they're inside their own head and they just don't think they can do it.
Yeah. Well, the mindset of marriage is really like till death us do part. And so that's the only thing that should separate you. And you cannot allow anything else, to get in the way. And the mindset is that no matter what it may be, there's a way that we can figure out a way to overcome. Mm-hmm. Now, early on in our marriage, did we know how we were going to overcome? Absolutely not. So we had to go through some trial and error, try a few different techniques here and there, see what somebody else had done. Like just like you said, you heard the testimony of somebody else, who had discovered that yes, you can live without sugar. We heard the testimonies of others who had overcome, or people would say, like for example, Sulojana mentioned a saying a while ago about your spouse being the number one person in your life. We didn't make that up. Like we heard somebody say that. If you can make your spouse feel like they're the number one person in your life, you got it made. Yeah. And so these were like, so the mindset is that no matter what comes, that's why our subtitle of the book is so important, how to stand in unity and withstand adversity. Mm-hmm. Wow. When you go through adversity, you try and go it on your own, you could likely break as a result, and then your breaking can lead to a breakup. But when you go through it together, like I had a serious health challenge a number of years ago, maybe about 11, 12 years ago, which really, could have pulled us apart. But instead, we said, we're going to stand together. And just a few years before that, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, I had a crisis in my career, as a pastor, that really, could have, again, pulled us apart. But instead we said, no, we're going to stand together as a couple, no matter what else happens out there, like we're going to be together. And so to me, like that is the mindset is that with God's help, with our determination, and when we stand together in unity, then ain't nothing going to stop us. Like we're going to keep moving on.
That's powerful, and I believe the Lord is going to bless that. If you guys like to go get a copy of their book, The Unbreakable Marriage, you can go to thesams.ca, or you can go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon and pick up your copy. And what I would ask you to do also is go on social media and connect with Jeeva Sam or Sulojana.
You're doing so well.
I was doing so well.
Sulojana.
Totally ruined it. I'm looking at my studio audience like, hey, help me, y'all. Sister Sam, that's my backup, y'all. I can always go back to Sister Sam. And you guys can really connect with them. It's so important. They talked about having an outside source. If you just want to try to thumb through something and get a few, it's not a cookbook, y'all. It really is about connecting and understanding that mentorship and accountability in your marriage and repairing your marriage is essential. So again, I would ask everybody that listens, that is downloading, that is connecting in our live audience, I want you all to go on social media. I also want you to go over to Amazon, pick up their book, and tell them that you heard about them on Impacting Life 24/7. I'm sure they'll be glad to take your inbox questions. They are readily accessible, even though they're all the way up there in Canada, even though they're way up north, they're still very, very accessible. They are partners with us here at Impacting Life 24/7. In other words, they come on our show quarterly. That's how important I feel what their mission is, and we want to make sure that people are hearing about this. And so, Pastor and Sister Sam, I want to tell you guys personally from our team that every time you come on here, we feel enhanced. It's like, okay, Greg's going to go for 48. I'm getting ready to go to 38, and Pastor and Sister Sam will be at 50 when we come back next time. So what I always ask is I ask both of you to speak to the particular, demographics out here. I would like Sister Sam to give a word of encouragement to the ladies, and then we'll close it out with Pastor Sam with a word of encouragement to the men that maybe are struggling with this thing called marriage. Sister Sam, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, ladies, once we have made that commitment to our marriage, no matter what comes, don't give up. God brought you both together, in marriage, and do your best. And also, don't wait till the marriage struggles get to a point where it's hard to resolve it. Take that step. If the lady, the wives, you feel like the marriage is going downhill, step out in faith and contact the person, whether it's your pastor or a family friend that you trust, or your parents, and talk to them and tell them your challenges, and take the step, and that's help out there. Yeah, and don't wait till till it's almost on the verge of breaking down, and it's so hard to get back. So yeah, and we also make those vows for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, all those things. Keep that in mind. You made that promise before God, and make sure you keep that up, and work at it. And it can be done. It can be done. No matter how bad it looks, with the help of God, it can be done.
Amen.
Well, to the guys, guys, God gave you a very special place in your marriage. He made you the head, but don't be a blockhead. Okay, don't be a hard head. Okay? And sometimes guys abuse that privilege that God gave us, by basically demanding. You can never demand love. You can never demand respect. And so one of the things that I would tell guys is, and your wives will probably fall off their chair when you do this, but ask her forgiveness for the things that you have done. Don't expect her to apologize first. You be a man, and you fess up, to the things that you did, to bring about the lack of harmony and unity and conflict in your marriage. And you know what? When you humble yourself, like what Paul says is that that you love your wife as Christ loved the church and laid down his life for her. And so when you can show your wife that you are willing to lay down your life, meaning you're like not literally lay down your life, but to really put aside your interests and focus on what is best for her, I'm telling you, like, that's going to be a very, very tough example for her to not notice, and realize that you're serious. It's not just talk. You're actually showing by your example that you really are going to be the head, the way that Christ is the head of the church, and that point, things will begin to turn around.
Amen and amen. That is so powerful. Listen, folks, we are very, very blessed to have Pastor and Sister Sam on this broadcast. They were just recently made a special guest appearance on the 700 Club. These are highly sought after ministers of the gospel and marriage restorers. And in this last day, we need people that are going to help be repairers of the breach. And that's why we've said, hey, look, you have an open door here at Impact Life 24/7. Pastor and Sister Sam are on a mission to save 50,000 marriages from divorce in the next 5 years. You can get a copy of their book, The Unbreakable Marriage, and you can go to thesams.ca and get a copy of that amazing book, or you can go on Barnes & Noble or Amazon and reach out to them on social media, inbox them. If you're struggling, these are the people that you want to connect with. So humble that Sister Sulojana said, reach out to your family, reach out to your pastor, but I want you guys to reach out to these two because I brought them here for you. And we're sharing this gift that God has gave us in these last days with the church. And I believe pastors are a gift to the body of Christ. So thank you guys so much for honoring us with your presence. And we look happy Pastor Appreciation Month. I know that's October. And so we will see you guys in another quarter. Maybe it'll be snow on the ground next time we talk. But and then I'll go dig up another old picture of y'all from the 1970s.
Yeah, we'll join you from our igloo over here. So,
ladies and gentlemen, this has been Impact Life with 24/7 with Pastor and Sister Sam, and we thank them so much for being here. We will talk to you guys again real soon. Okay, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, we look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, take care. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Pastor Jeeva and Sulojana Sam. I did her name so well the whole show, but as the show went on, my brain got a little warped. But anyway, these folks are really amazing. Go get the copy of their book, The Unbreakable Marriage. You can find that again at their website. Go to their website I gave you their website. It's somewhere on here. You can find them on Amazon. You can find their book on Amazon. You can find their book on Barnes & Noble. And I believe it's thesams.ca is their website. And all social media platforms, you can find them there. These are truly genuine people. They're 65 years old, and they look like they're in their 40s. And that's definitely the joy of the Lord is their strength. So let's continue to connect, and I want us to do nothing more than see marriages restored and lives restored because we connect with people that are in the business of making an impact. We don't bring just anybody on this show, y'all. We bring folks that are about making an impact. And 10,000 people a year is a tall order, but these people are doing it. You could be the next one. So again, go to thesams.ca or get a copy of their book on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, The Unbreakable Marriage. So that's been it for us today on Impact Life 24/7. We have no more broadcasts this week. Tomorrow night, we continue our 4-month series in the Craven County Jail. We'll be talking about the R in the word free because it's the Stay Free series. We've made t-shirts, and we are just taking this message on the road that, hey, listen, once you get free, we want to help you to stay free. We'll be there tomorrow night and Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. in the Craven County Jail. One of the highlights of our month. We've been doing it for 16 months now, and God is continuing to open some really amazing doors. So again, Pastor and Sister Sam, just go to thesams.ca and get a copy of their book, The Unbreakable Marriage. Until next time, this has been your host, CL King, telling you, no matter the adversity, you still can make it. God bless.